We might be stuck indoors, but the spirit of Pride is definitely not called off. Pride Month is more than just parades and parties. It's also about generating awareness and funds for queer causes, which benefit the LGBTQ plus community long beyond June. One of these events is the Feather Awards, and more recently, the Feather Virtual Dialogues. We're joined now by the founder, Thami Dish. Welcome to The Loft, Thami.
Thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon and happy Pride Month.
Thami, we hear about Pride Month every year, but what exactly is Pride Month?
It comes from the riots that took place in Stonewall in 1969. And I think a lot of the countries decided that they were going to establish what they call Pride Month to commemorate, some of the experiences of Stonewall back in those days. So it was declared officially in the US as Pride Month, and I think it also extended to the UK and then Europe, also picking up on various events or activities that happen around Pride Month. So it's global, or it's International Pride Month. As you know, that us in South Africa, we celebrate Pride Month in October, but we're living in the times of COVID and being digital and being all in one big world that happens online. So we are out here in South Africa celebrating Pride Month.
Now, you recently kicked off the Feathers Virtual Dialogues on Fridays, where you present a health dialogue focused on queer health and wellness. So how did you come about with this initiative?
The only difference in this is that they're virtual. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we've had to stop the public gatherings where we usually go out to communities across the country and engage with them on issues that are specific to whichever province that we're visiting at that point. So we've been discussing a lot of depression that's experienced by queer people as a result of COVID-19. We've been having multiple conversations around queer health for those who want to be able to understand better of their health, and we've got multiple questions. We're running a program around, talking about labor, what's happening out there with work, how are you protected, how are you supported in the workspace.
And speaking about these hot topics like depression, like anxiety, and all of the attacks happening on the queer community, why is it so important to you to speak on it?
Everyone in South Africa, and I think everyone else in the world, has experienced some level of depression or anxiety as a result of COVID-19. And I think there's not enough being done to find out or to help people cope with the change that's happening in their lives. And so you can imagine I'm a gay man who already struggles with being myself at home, and now I'm subjected to having to spend most of my time in lockdown with the people who violate me or who are homophobic towards me. Most of our queer people work within the creative industries because, simply because of how free we are in the industry. But those who are within beauty, who are in the arts, who are dancers, producers, right? There's so many of them who have not been able to do work. The substance abuse during this time, a lot of people have been, using a lot of alcohol as a coping mechanism. So we've got to start talking to each other and making sure that we don't just post or put out on social media the fact that we think we're well and we're sitting with the background that is looking so colorful and my life is perfect. I'm putting down a beautiful meal on the table and it looks awesome just in pictures, but the heart is going through the most. These are trying times, and these are new times.
It's quite scary to see the way in which the world is moving. I mean, even in countries where LGBTQI rights are guaranteed, people are still targeted and victimized. So tell us more about your foundation.
The work we do as a foundation is the training part of it, enabling people to understand more of queer people out there in the world, how to coexist, the basic, knowledge around the acronym itself. Who are LGBTQI humans, and how different are they from you as a person who seems to think that you are normal? What are the experiences that they face, and how we can access basic human rights? Because I think a lot of times people make the mistake of thinking that what we are requesting or fighting for as activists is just our existence. But I think it's beyond that. It's us being able to get onto spaces and access all our rights fully. It's for us to have access to total freedom. You know, whether it's in hospitals, it's at com safety level SAPs, whether it's at work. How does the corporate world manage or find a way to play a role in bringing all humans and making it inclusive. There's so many queer people who've been writing to us and saying, I don't really feel safe at home. I don't want to be here. We're looking for a shelter. Do you know of a shelter that we can go to that they would feel safe at? And it's one of those things that would force you to look at what we've been doing as a human settlement in the country and question really if the criteria that's put there for people who are beneficiaries of an RDP house really fits the people who are queer, because it looks at those who have got dependents. You must have your family, you must, all of these things that you must produce. So automatically it will forever push queer people down to the bottom of the list.
So what message do you have to people in your community or in the community as a general in terms of going forward, being the shining light and being the change that they want to see and educating those around them?
I have to thank the fact that I live in a beautiful country like South Africa where I'm allowed to be myself. With that said, I also would like to commend all the people who are running NGOs in different parts of the country and connecting with queer people to try and assist them in living their lives and better understanding how they can cope with being themselves, whether it's around like accepting themselves, because I think a lot of people think that it's an easy thing for people to come out and just say I'm gay, and we don't go through our own struggles of how we identify. It's good for us to be able to table all our concerns and for us to celebrate as a unit, as a community, that's one. So yeah, everybody who's watching here, I hope that they are able to continue doing what they need to do, and fighting for everyone's existence and the right to express as and when it feels right to them.
Thank you so much, Thami, to you and your organization for all the incredible work you do.
Thank you so much, and happy Pride Month. Stay colorful.
Colourful indeed. Thank you again. Now, today, 73 countries criminalize LGBTQI people for just being who they are. 12 countries still impose the death penalty as a punishment for private, consensual, same-sex sexual activity. Let's support the LGBTQI community in any way we can this Pride Month and many months to come.